You did it. You either listened through all 4 episodes we recorded while celebrating our 100th episode of Season 2, or you just waited your sweet time and jumped right back in now. Either way, thanks for being here. It's starting to heat up around here, and the story in our game of Kingmaker is no different. This cult's looking like it's not just going to be a simple cold to sleep off, and it's time for our heroes to dig in and do some work. So if you want to do a little work of your own to help us out, there's all kinds of ways you can help. You can rate and review the show on your podcast app or apps of choice. You can follow us on social media, or what's becoming our favorite is email us at livetodiepodcast@gmail.com. Ryan, our wonderful Live to Die mail guy, is hearing all kinds of cool things from you and sharing it with us. We love it. It's like a highlight of our recording days. Now, if you really, really want to go beyond that, and you never have to, you can support us on Patreon, where we share behind-the-scenes conversations and other recordings, like our Talk Ahead episodes. A new one just dropped today. Also, as a part of our Patreon, each month we shout out one supporter at the called shot tier or higher. This month, that's Tacoma. Tacoma, thank you. Thanks for your support. Thanks for listening with us. Thanks for, in your own way, contributing to our enjoyment and hopefully everyone else who's listening's enjoyment of this hobby of role-playing games. This show is possible because of you and all of our other Patreons. So if any of you want to, you can check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/livetodiepod. That's patreon.com/livetodiepod. Thank you all for joining us this far. Be cool, be nice, roll dice, and enjoy this episode of Live to Die.
Roll dice, be nice, and stay tuned. This is the Live to Die podcast.
I thought ahead this week. I'm proud of myself. And I prepared a short, brief banter question. When you are, I know many of you have GM'd in some capacity, and all of you have obviously played role-playing games in many capacities. We are all people in our lives where we have to make choices about how we use our free time. We also all live in Colorado, which is, as we joked, minimum 45 minutes away from everything. So game groups are always a pain in the ass in this state. So you have to be choosy about what you're a part of. When you are thinking about what adventures you're going to either run or be a part of. So I'm not talking systems, and I'm not talking the people who are part of a game group, which we all know is the actual secret sauce of a game group, is the people at the table.
I'm glad you said that, because that was my answer.
So when you're purely thinking about like, oh, I want to run an adventure, which adventure do I want to run? Or like, oh, my GM and my table that I love are talking about adventures, which one do I want to say I think we should play? What do you look for in a TTRPG adventure when you're like, does it change? Do you have like things that you're constantly looking through? So like kind of share if you've done it recently or when it stood out. Like what do you look for when you want to run an adventure?
Mechanics of the game, I would say, like, for example, Delta Green, we liked that everything was rolled on the percentage die and how your character was made up.
Sure.
And I think for me, like, or how I haven't played it yet, but you guys have made characters in a couple of different games.
Oh yeah, what's the one?
Traveler.
Yeah.
Oh
well,
my
so
God.
let me say. So like, I'm not talking like why do you pick a system, but like if you're in Delta Green, how do you pick which Delta Green adventure do you kind of run?
I like and maybe I hate myself and that DMs a little bit because I love sandbox adventures.
Oh, okay.
I love sandbox. I like having options.
So
which is probably why I kicked Kingmaker your way. I was like, hey,
I do think
biggest
that
sandbox opportunity ever.
That requires a certain group that is capable of doing that without just sort of going into nothing and falling apart.
Yeah, as a DM, like it's tough. It's really tough. And so I really admire James taking it on because it's a lot of work.
I would recommend.
For sure.
It's probably a genre thing then.
Okay, yeah. Talk to us about your genre.
Like, I'm into horror, but not as much. Delta Green, Impossible Landscapes, perfect.
So good.
Oh, there's a little more mystery than horror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
It's I did say no children, and that's what Ryan started with, was low kids. And
that's true.
but I also, pretty much any fantasy game, you're going to get me because
Yeah.
I fucking love fantasy.
I do.
Especially
like it
high
too.
fantasy. I just fucking love it.
Okay.
And somebody's like, I got this new fantasy game. Somebody says I'm running Lord of the Rings in.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so for you, it's a very genre thing.
very genre
You like playing
specific,
in the genres that you have this like relationship with.
Sci-fi and Pathfinder, love it.
Okay. Do you find that there are certain like tropes you want to hit, or are you just like, nope, fuck the aesthetics there, I'm in?
I have taken to let's play a new game, and I want to play the character that I've never played before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna play a wizard in Ryan's Seven Dooms campaign. While I played a wizard, he was also a fighter, so he carried around an axe. This is like a nerdy gnome kid, just fresh out of wizard college, and I'm super excited to play that because I've never done it before.
Wizard College was next door to Weed College, but he went to Wizard College.
Sure.
Minored in Weed College.
Yeah, sometimes you get some crossover there.
Yeah.
The botany programs do actually share a greenhouse.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in there because I'm running Seven Dooms. I've been wanting to run Delta Green for years and years and years and years and years. And I kind of told myself that I thought that I would be done running Pathfinder campaigns. But then I just finished grad school, and then it's like, all of a sudden I have...
congrats.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm technically got one more thing to do, but it's more or less done.
Well, but when that's done, we party.
It's more or less done. So...
We party like it's first edition.
Yeah, Seven Dooms is a tie-in to Rise of the Runelords.
Yeah, like the classic fucking
which
game.
is we're all very excited about, and most of us have played at least a little bit of. But like James had Seven Dooms, and I was like, I read a ton of books, and I was just like, I need a break from going to the library and picking something else. And I was like, hey James, can I just borrow this? And so I grabbed the hard copy and got the PDF from him, and yes, we shared. Sorry. Anyways,
hey, it's in a game group, and all of you buy books.
Yeah, we all. And so I just started to read it, and so as long as I can have fun reading it, I'm stoked to run it. Because I usually read APs and stuff like their books. Like Impossible Landscapes was one of the best things that I've ever read in my life. Period. Not just TTRPGs. That is such a masterfully created book, and if you're a game master, go get Impossible Landscapes and just read it just to see the way that it's all tied together. And so usually from a game master's perspective, it's like when I look at it and my players are like, hey, what do you guys want to play? And I'll usually get some feedback, but then at the end of the day, for me, it's like, what am I really stoked about running? And then who wants to play that game that I'm stoked about running?
Do you find that when you're reading it, there are things that make you stoked about the experience of reading it? Is it that it has like a good narrative through line, or like, what's that look like?
I think it's the narrative through line, the way that it's constructed. Because I have an MFA, I like the craft of things and how it's put together, and you can kind of see where things are going and see where the little tidbits are kind of placed, so that it's kind of like that Carl conversation we were having about the quest lines and how it's going to finish up the end and how well that's put together. And so that's something too, like, this tidbit is fed to the players early in the beginning, and then in the middle of book 3, all of a sudden, boom, this huge reveal that they probably forgot about. I look for stuff like that, and it's really fun. And if that can keep me excited as a person, then I'll be excited to run it. Because as you know, as a game master, I usually read the whole book, and then I'll go back and prep the first part. And so the story months and months in advance that your players aren't going to see for months or even years. And so I just need to be able to stay excited about it, which can also be a bad thing because lots of stuff comes out, and then I'll start reading something else, and then I'll be like, have you guys heard about Impossible Landscapes? Like, we played that game 4 years ago. I was like, oh, I forgot. Let's do it again. So, yeah.
But have you heard about Impossible Landscapes?
Impossible Landscapes. I want to tell you guys.
Too impossible, too landscape.
That's why Paizo is dope, though. I know a lot of people homebrew, but like the story that Paizo does, it's just so good.
The scale, it also is really fun because I think, and this is something that I feel like we don't maybe, and I mean like the 5 of us, but also I feel like maybe isn't talked about enough. Not just the quality. And I think that this emergent property I'm about to talk about wouldn't exist without the baseline quality of the Paizo APs. But it creates a cool moment of community. Because we all play these so much, or because we're aware of them. Like, even if you haven't run it, you're aware of a lot of the big APs. So when you're at a convention or a game store and you meet someone, and like, first there's the vibe check of like, am I going to have fun talking to this person?
Right.
And I'll say that broadly, with Pathfinder, I get more hits than I might imagine.
That's fair.
Like Pathfinder peeps broadly are here for a good time. There's also just enough like easy flag indicators in Pathfinder that always takes. If they're like, "I like Pathfinder, but I'm not really sure I'm here for all that like representation." You're like, "Cool, end of conversation."
Yeah, thanks for playing.
But like nothing about Pathfinder is subtle. That they're like, "We're here for representation, for good representation, and an inclusive community." So like that already helps with a little bit of it.
For sure.
But it's really fun when you can talk about like, "Oh, we played this," and someone's like, "Oh, my table ran like the first 2 books of that. What did you guys do here?" Like it's so much fun. Like I remember talking about the end of Age of Ashes book 2 with you, Ryan, and being like,
"Oh my god."
Like, oh, that giant golem at the beginning of like the temple.
I hate you so much. That book made me hate my game master.
Or
that was incredibly hard to fight.
That was a rough fight. And the weird thing was the person who got everyone through that at first was the wizard who it was immune to.
Yeah.
I think there's I think the community of APs is really fun because you can all talk about what you have in common with each other and that experience. All right, Trent, real quick, as I want to try to keep this under 10.
I would say that just like the length of the campaign is something to keep in mind. If you have a brand new group, never played together, it's a good idea to run through like a one shot or something similar. Give them a good chance to like get their hands around the game.
Yeah, yes.
And see if the group dynamic works.
It's always amazing to me how much we are all like very normed at the Paizo level.
Yep.
And it's because I'll talk to other people who play other games and they're like, "Oh yeah, well you just had like our second campaign ramp up this year." And I still have Paizo mindset. I'm like, how the fuck did you finish 2 campaigns in a year? And I realized that like what is a single Paizo book is a campaign to mini tables, which is fair. Like a single book and I mean, we kind of did that. That was the one book of Grey Death. That felt like a beautiful whole campaign.
Yeah.
We only leveled up twice during it, but I'll give my answer real quick. I'll try to give it super fast so we can get this game going. I like really strong acts. Like I want each act of an adventure to be really not self-contained, but I really want it to be self-fueling. That was part of the reason I loved Grey Death. I felt like Grey Death was 3 acts. It was sussing information out. It was the party, and then it was the fuck this shit up, kill the worm.
Party was so fun.
The party was really cool.
Yeah, it was great.
The lesser death.
The lesser death shit. Everyone hates lesser deaths.
So much.
So yeah, that's my thought. And that's why I always encourage people when they're writing stuff to really think about acts, not the total story, because the GM who can see the long arc of the story loves it, but the player sometimes can get lost. It's just like anyone who's ever run or done an exercise, like it's different. Like you can be so tired, but when you see the finish line one block away, you're like, I do have a little left in the tank. I can push more.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes running adventures can be like that, where if you feel like you're floating in a sea of story and you don't see a port or an end anywhere in sight, it's like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
And that's actually one thing that I will say, and this is how we'll bring it home. I think Kingmaker, for it being sort of famously the biggest sandbox AP in Paizo, the way that they construct these little modules feels so bite-sized, even compared to the normal books. Like where we're at right now with this cult. All right, cool. You have a hunt. The hunt is like definitely an intro, but the hunt's a little fun, almost side game. And then you kick off this cult thing. This cult thing will wrap up this or next recording session.
Oh, wow.
Probably,
That's cool.
We'll probably wrap up this part of the cult thing, then the full cult thing will finish next recording session. But like,
spoilers.
That's really...
James has been telling us we're going to level up for like the last 6 or 7 recording sessions.
We leveled up a while ago.
Yeah, a while ago.
It'll happen again. So I think that's one thing that really, and I will say like major kudos to Kingmaker, because I think the way that they actually broke, they sort of melded the difference between a huge sandbox and the typical Paizo AP by saying, here's a bunch of different little modules and you'll kind of just run into them, or modules that span a larger area. I just think that's
Does this
cool.
feel sandboxy to y'all?
Not yet.
Does it feel sandboxy to you? Like, Jared, are you getting what you want?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know at least there's always the option, and we've had some side questy things that I like a little side quest, you know.
I heard about a turtle once.
Yeah. But even just like, you know, go into the tower, stuff like that, like with the
I guess that's true.
Stuff.
You have like 3 options.
Yeah, we get choices.
Yeah, and like Elga, all the Elga options. You know, it's like they're built in. At least there's something that you can do. You can at least choose an order to it or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So here's what I'll say. If it hasn't felt very sandboxy, that's your fault. Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
No. Wait.
Yeah.
And that's because it actually, you have been playing in sandboxy, but to what we talked about earlier with sandbox, like I won't play a sandbox with anyone. Sandbox campaigns, or with just anyone, are so brutal if you don't have a group of people that are engaged in advancing their story and the plot forward. Otherwise, a sandbox is just a giant ocean that you drown in.
Right.
I think what I mean is we haven't reached the part where I feel like it's closed off yet.
Well,
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying too is that I've played with some GMs who homebrew in a sandbox world, and they literally let the players create their campaign. I don't necessarily want that.
Yeah.
I want to what game are we playing so I can make my character around that? And kind of going back to Seven Dooms, and one of the reasons I really like Galarian and Paizo as a world, like the player's guide for that game has like 30 some NPCs in it, and like there is an NPC in there that you can connect your character to based on exactly the kind of backstory you want. And I just really appreciate that. And I just haven't felt like it's like, well, I guess we can, there's 360 different choices we could go. And that's so overwhelming as a player. Like I want to be able to be like, oh, yeah, we have 3 choices, but it's like, we're going to hit all 3 eventually. So maybe it doesn't, does that make sense?
There's a piece to it though. That's like also like, even though it's, maybe we haven't been running it like you run a traditional sandbox, which I think we have a bit.
You actually have.
Part of it is like having options for like, how you're building your city. Who do you want to make alliances with? Like, who do you want to interact with? More than others. Like these are, these people are out there. Are you going to go talk to them now or later or at all?
There are
then yes.
There are like 7 major NPCs that you have just flat out not encountered and probably won't. There are 4 dungeons you could have gone through that you haven't even heard of at this point.
Well, I'm sort of a completionist, so can we go back?
Yeah. But like level 15, be like, all right, I cast 1 fireball. That place is done. Let's go.
Nice. You get that dungeon. I'll get this dungeon.
Oh. You know what? Fuck the cult. Let's go find these dungeons.
Yeah. So I think we need some treasure.
This has been a joy for me because all of you have had such motivations that it's easy, like when there's things in order for you to jump at, where it hasn't felt like, okay, all of you do something. But I think it is time now for all of you to do something.
Fair.
And so let's rejoin. It's been 2 months since we've had sort of the main characters plotline. So let's jump us ahead. The last 4 episodes were a drunken fever dream of fighting a cult up at Oleg's, whatever we drunkenly named Oleg's Bucky's.
Yeah, I don't remember now.
Yeah, I'm editing them, and it's like, wow, we said this shit.
Yeah, we're happy about it. Thanks for hanging out with us while we were drinking.
All of you listeners will have heard this, but for those of you who haven't, and the episodes hasn't dropped yet in our recording timeline, I am going to do an intro of like, hi, Al. The next 4 episodes are something special that we had a lot of fun recording. If you don't like them, you can skip them in their entirety, and you'll be listening to this that I'm recording now.
I regret nothing.
Yep.
0 things.
So, you all are heading back to Shattershield. You've just met up with Ari, and she's informed you that Lucky found word of a cult up at Oleg's.
Jane is going to, on cue, walk in the door.
It's Ari!
Hi, Jade!
And so, let's actually cut back in. It'll probably be about 2 days. I think it was 2 days of travel plus. Let's cut back in 2 days from where we left Nikolai and the non-interim Baron group. And you've kind of made it back to Shattershield. Let's do a little bit of a sort of like exposition role play. And these 2 days that you're heading from the Lodge of the Embeth Travelers to Shattershield, what do you think was like, I'm not going to ask you all to think like what's on the mind of so-and-so because you haven't been in these characters for like a month or 2, but I will ask you, what are your characters like thinking they want to do next? Or like what's priorities to them that they want to address to or see to, knowing that there's a cult outbreak tied to this sort of magical plague that's having monsters xenomorph their ways out of your population? Do any of you kind of have like top of mind priorities as you're getting back to Shattershield?
Oh man, I mean, I think Arthur's first thought is, Jesus, the last time we left like this, an enormous owl bear came and rampaged through the city. So like his first thought is, God, I hope nothing has happened in the meantime.
That's legitimate.
I think Jonas is feeling the same. Yeah, it's just like that. But this is like an interesting where the owlbear is more of like a hammer. Like this is kind of an infestation that we thought might have just been localized to that little area of forest that we were hunting in. Yeah. But now that we got word from Lucky, it's kind of all around us. And so we need to really get to this before, and how much of that seed is already set in town, and how can we get there and dig those weeds out before,
Also, I wonder how many people Lucky has disappeared in the time that we've been gone.
Yeah.
You'll never know.
I would say Nikolai, I mean, obviously first thing now, he's coming to family and checking that out. He'll go he definitely wants to find Lucky, but Nikolai wants to prepare.
Sure.
Because now there's another threat. Last time was the trolls. We thought we were out having a good time. Finally, some relaxation and hunt. And then we fought a bunch of monsters that are possibly on their way here from cultists who we've also had a problem with before. So Nikolai is like, there's this aspect of like the person and the Baron. And the Baron wants to get to work and make sure that we don't get attacked again.
Yeah.
Lucky / Red.
Yeah, Red is like, he was given a job. It's to make sure that Baron's good. So that's all he's really doing right now. I don't think he's not a long view kind of guy, generally.
I'm going to try to give him a dap that I learned from Jonas along the way.
Okay.
But I don't really know how to dap a hoof.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh, I like
hands,
that's like that awkward,
hands,
like you go
hands.
to high five him, and then you're like,
yeah, you're like
and then you do this like thing like this.
You just shift the gears and grab his hoof.
You try to split, yeah.
Shifting gears.
It's all awkward.
So Red isn't a long view person. Is he a long horn though?
Dang.
Yeah, he is. Highland cow-ish, remember?
That's right.
Lucky's just ready to take some action against this cult. I think he's
already taken some direct action.
Yeah. But he's seen, the chaos in firsthand. He's also got to talk to Arthur. So,
oh damn!
I want Nikolai to catch you first and just be like, "How was it while we were gone?"
Yeah. So we're back in Shatter Shield. You ride in, and Lucky is sitting in the meeting room as you all kind of like come in. Nikolai, you can make it there first if you want to get there privately.
Nikolai's chair.
He's got his leg draped over the arm.
Ruling looks good on you.
No, it's just Nikolai. He sped up just a little bit ahead to get there.
Yeah, it was quiet while you were gone, relatively. At least here.
Oh, that's good. What a change.
We do have a cult issue, which I think Ari's probably filled you in on.
Sure, yes.
It's pressing. Something we need to take care of quickly.
I agree.
And impacting who knows how many people now, but definitely something going on with the water supply. And some experimentation with these. I don't know what kind of creatures they are. I don't think we ever got to the bottom of that, but creatures bursting forth through human vessels and terrorizing the landscape.
Well, and Nikolai like claps his hand on his shoulder and is like, I appreciate the work you have done while I was gone, but I need you to get out of my chair.
Sure.
He stands up, and then Lucky slits a Baron's throat.
Chaos is a ladder.
He starts to walk. Yeah. Lucky starts to walk away and just says, "Oh, we've got a new visitor in the dungeon."
All right.
Ooh.
I totally forgot.
And then walks out.
What visitor do we have in the dungeons?
Isn't it Fib?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's Fib.
I wasn't sure if he was in the dungeon. I don't know what happened to Fib.
Yeah, it's been like, we had a couple Chardonnays, what of it?
Look, Jason kept us in our champagne that day, very delightfully.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Like a baron.
No
That's
regrets.
right.
No regrets.
Serve and protect.
It was post-hunt, wanted everybody to have a good time.
What are the rest of you doing as you get back into town? Arthur and Jonas, you've just made it back to town.
Certainly going over with the troops that I've assembled for defense.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, all right, what happened while I was gone, and who was in charge, and did they do anything correct?
I like how you assume it all went wrong.
Yeah.
Like a true chief.
I was going to say, military folks in the room. Is that a good assumption?
Yep. Yeah. Nope. He's like, show me this.
All right, what'd you break?
What'd you break?
So I think you'll make contact with probably it's not a direct thing, but like Ekendayo is probably the most senior. He is one of your actual like cabinet members basically. So he'll talk with you and was mostly quiet here around Shatter Shield. Some word made it to me that Lucky had received a report of activities up north, but he said he'd tasked an asset of his to deal with it. I don't know much about that, but he returned from overseeing that. Here locally, He's asked and informed us to keep a closer eye on anyone who's gone missing for a day or two or anything out of it. We haven't noticed much of that, but I am getting reports from travelers I talk to on the road or other contacts I have throughout the region that there are those who are going missing, or they're finding these bodies mutilated near signs of animal attacks.
Yes.
None have made it too far close to home yet, but I have my suspicions that this is the danger Lucky seems to be attending to.
Yeah,
found someone that'll dive Lucky out while we're gone.
We're definitely going to need to double patrols. Don't ask why. It's bad.
I'll see what I can do, and
well, he'll be at the meeting.
I'll talk to Lucky about seeing if we can't loosen a couple of purse strings to pay for some extra assistance. Knock Knock's recovery is going well enough where he's regaining use of some of his leg.
Oh, yes, great. That's wonderful. He probably won't be on patrols for a while. We just need to give him time to recover. But the hobgoblins, how have they...
They're integrating well. A few of their number have worked with me and have sought work. Many of them are already working and hunting the regions around the area. A few have been assisting me. I do think that if we can find room in the budget, that there are some who have the appropriate backgrounds and skills to, if we have the work, unfortunate as it might be, in the defense of our kingdom, they would be well suited for it. But their integration continues to go well. You'll have to talk to Ari about what most of our immigrant settlement populations are like here, but in general, I'll say that my boundaries grow larger every day as the city seems to grow with it.
Yes, we've done well in that regard. And I have already touched base with Ari. She was extremely drunk.
Good.
So,
wow. She needed a break.
Well, thank you. Continue on, XO.
I'm the warden. It's an equivalent position.
It's funny that the budget has even reached the warden. Like budget problems.
I freaking love it. It's my favorite bit.
It's everywhere.
So I think he'll go back and you'll see that while he is sort of the most senior person that running it, but I suspect that one of the other more senior folks was I think Kristoff is the remaining bandit.
Oh, nice.
And Meekmek, the kobold who's sort of settled into your group here and is there. The other ones who are a little questionable, they have been helping. Remember the two kobolds that were spies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They are still around the community. Yeah, and they in particular were very impressed by all of you killing the dragon and Arthur. And if you remember, they're the ones who came in and just shanked to death that fucking troll boss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Meekmek and those kobolds now sort of have a little bit of a growing kobold brigade, which is the fact that one of the the inspirational thing we've talked about, the inspirational founder for Shadow Shield was a kobold, and there's a lot of kobold groups and tribes in the region, clans in the region, and so I think that those tend to there are larger ones that are more stable. There's often ones who leave and are smaller, so you are getting a non-zero amount of kobold immigration into the community.
We have a vanguard.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's one of those where I think you kind of look at a lot of Galarian city stats, and it's always 3% this and 2% dwarf and 70% human. And I think that while Shadow Shield is probably 35%, 40% human, I think that yours is one of the more diverse communities, which is,
I like it.
You do see a lot more diversity in the River Kingdoms in general, just due to the stylings of the River Kingdoms, but having sort of representation in the city's history, and even on council with Laku there, who is that quickly becoming a bigger mover and shaker in the council, seeing so many non-humans, and even to be honest, Lucky being one of certainly not the face of Shatter Shield, but the quiet power of Shatter Shield, and a lot of that. So I think you're seeing a lot of that, and you're starting to see that there is a little bit of an interest in these institutions and a lot of these different kind of growing cultural factions. It's one of those situations where all these different kind of cultural groups that are ending up here in Shatter Shield are looking at a lot of these institutions as a way to sort of quickly gain capital or equity and buy-in, which I think is Trent, you're definitely more of my expert in this. Like that's my goal was to sort of mimic some of that historical like background, which is that like in newer nations and countries, like families who can sort of buy into or participate in the institutions of the government have a tendency to gain a lot of power, and
especially the military.
Yeah,
that's the way reform and integration of peoples is most effective. Is bring them into the military so that they are known by the other people in the social group.
Now I know why you picked general.
Yeah,
so you can take over.
So I think we're seeing, and I think. My interpretation of the way all of you have been doing it is that the warden and the general, since there aren't like wars yet, give it time, there's probably a lot of there's a lot of alignment in it, whereas I think the general is much more has a relationship to almost the like the infrastructure of defense in addition to the personalities.
Yeah.
The way you have been playing the warden is sort of out a lot. So I imagine that it's probably the same pool of people with some cross-training because you do want those groups to work well together. Different branches of the armed forces, if you will.
Some civil defense right now.
Yeah. Whereas like I don't think the warden really gives a shit about like what are our supply stocks like if we get sieged or like do we have the right lines.
They seem more reconnaissance.
He's like Spec Ops.
Yeah.
He's our Spec Ops team.
He's your beige. We need a color for the beret or some shit.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so I think that that's what's going on. So I think you're seeing a lot of the people that are coming in, and when you're getting larger cultural groups that are sort of settling into Shatter Shield, you are seeing some of that integration. And in my mind, I feel like there's sort of 4 big active arms of Shatter Shield. You do have a growing defense post Owlbear. The wardens are extremely important with just how the wild the river kingdoms are. And I think the other 2 big ones is you've all talked a lot about your investment in like agriculture. So I think your Department of Ag equivalent is probably important. And
SSDA, Shatter Shield Department of Agriculture.
Yes, the SSDA. And your like infrastructure and capital sort of stuff. And I think that both of those are ones that are all tied into like through Lucky's direction on like expanding infrastructure to support trade, agriculture as trade, because we've talked about like this is very much like a breadbasket area, and so the ability to provide consistent food in one of these areas is huge. So you're seeing a lot of like those are the real government growth areas where there's a lot of employment, if you will, that you're seeing the communities moving into and really integrating into. So construction and infrastructure, agriculture and / commerce. Then the armed forces, if you will.
And what is Jonas?
Yeah, so what's Jonas doing now that you're
Jonas
back in town?
Is actually really simple. He'll go back to his room first, and where he keeps all his little Andy Dufresne carved chess pieces from around. He'll actually open up his satchel and nestled down near his scroll of jump, he'll pull out several of the flowers.
Goddamn scroll of jump.
It's the best thing. It's on my mini too. It's very, very important that that's there.
That was one of the first things I added.
Yeah. And he will actually pull out like probably half a dozen of those flowers, and he'll like trim the thing, and he'll set one down on his ledge where all his pieces are, and then he will...
Oh, like the weird blooms?
Weird blooms. Yeah, he collected a handful of them. And then he will do a very slow and intentional walk around town, kind of like acknowledging like, hey, how's it going? Talking to people, saying what's going on. And just like, look, do I see these flowers anywhere? And then the last spot he'll stop is the graveyard. And he'll go to the graveyard of his mother and like kind of talk, like, you know, just kind of whispering. And people walking by are like, is he talking to her? Is he talking to himself? He'll place one of the flowers there, and then he'll go place a flower onto Letitia's gravestone as well, and say a few words, and then just like, you know, do I see any of this? Yeah, he's like a really social guy, but then when he's back from like thing, he likes to kind of, you know, upload or download, whichever way you might look at it, when he's back in town.
Okay, that's really cool. Actually, I like that so much.
Hell yeah.
Let's give you You Don't Know Me from the DC Spy Museum.
I like it.
You don't know me.
You don't know me. We gnomes are tougher than we look. 10 times tougher. Kick me as hard as you can. What would Red do? I mean, I know that you're kind of probably gonna maybe play Lucky today, but what's Red's little social priority? He'd get his job. He's back in town.
Scoping all that stuff.
He'd probably kind of glom onto Laku.
Okay.
And help her out. I know she's
going
like
way back and all.
Yeah, she's like mid-move.
Yeah.
So he might be helping get her situated and just bouncing, like letting her bounce ideas off of him and just being there. But I don't think he's not. I don't know that he feels like this is like his town yet. Yeah. Like he's here and he is endeared to the people, but I don't know that he feels like this is home.
Sure.
So he's just kind of glomming on to people that are familiar, I think, right now.
Cool. So you work on setting up some more of the meadery that you've got in town.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Kind of helping her out with that. Awesome.
You're probably like noticing the sudden diversity of the
town.
Yeah.
And it's definitely an appeal, I'm sure. It doesn't feel so. Yeah, like there's some places you go and you can feel really out of place. And I don't think he feels necessarily that way here. So that's definitely a perk.
So what's next for all of you? Like, obviously, the mechanical next thing that you have is to go up to... And no, I did appreciate the way you played it, Jared, because Lucky has not told you all that he dealt with the active threat of the of the cult. So you know that there's still a cult up at Oleg's, and even though you as players know the active threat has been dealt with, you do still need to do the technically research mechanic, the investigation into what's up there to see if you can find from that. Is there a military term for what Lucky did? The direct action he took, or whatever it's called. Like,
I think direct action works.
I'm just trying to think if there's like some comical like euphemism I've heard when
solo ops.
When like whenever the government's like,
oh
yes,
somebody's out on independent ops.
Independent ops.
I'm just trying to think though, like
it's like a derogatory term for you're off doing your own shit.
Okay,
you're out there on fucking independent ops.
Yeah, you're out there on independent ops.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, whatever action was taken up there, you also do need to then follow up on that and mechanically research, investigate to see if you can find out where is this coming from. Are there clues there that may reveal a next step or direction?
Well, I do think we should have a town hall.
Yep, me too.
God damn it!
Has anybody seen fucking Grigori? Has he been around here? I'm gonna shove one of these flowers up his ass.
Grigori, still around.
In town?
Oh yeah.
How's he feel about us?
Well, you can even as you're walking around town, Jonas. He's sort of up here, right? Grigori was this Grigori?
Sounds good.
Sounds right.
I don't give a fuck what he sounds like, James.
Well, where once again your leaders have left you. As we hear stories and tales of beasts ravaging the countryside. You know what happened the last time a beast was ravaging this countryside while your leaders were away? Look, even there now as the reconstruction's not yet a year later done. And once again they've gone off on some hunt. A hunt they've gone off on. How do you feel about that? Do you have the time to go hunt while your home's being rebuilt? No.
And I'll
walk
up.
Work.
I'll walk up and kind of like push through the crowd, Assassin's Creed style.
Just weirdly fondling everyone around you.
I'll just pull out one of those flowers
reacting.
And I'll hold it up to him. And then like that guy named Red from, what's that movie? Usual Suspects. And I'll just like flick it like a cigarette butt at his face and then walk away.
And that is how they deign confront these well-grounded, reasonable questions that we have to ask our leaders to just throw things at our face. Is this who you want running your community? Is this the community you want to be a part of? Well, and all those immigrants coming, do you want to be someplace with
now he's
people
MAGA?
like that?
Wow.
We could have assumed.
Wow.
We could have assumed from before.
Somebody kill that guy.
Yeah. And I'm just going to walk away. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Do you want to make a check on slowly advancing 100%. The Grigori issue?
Oh yeah. What do you want? I would collect information using diplomancy.
Diplomancy.
Mm-hmm. I took a feat.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to find. It's been enough. It's been long enough since I've ran a Grigori moment that I have to pull up his mechanical track.
You need to move that yellow sticky from rumors to Grigori. Grigori's bullshit.
Yeah.
Grigori's bullshit is right here. So, Fighting prop. So there's a couple ways. Oh my god, man, that bubbly water. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to edit that fucking belch out. That's disgusting. I can taste it. So fighting propaganda. Would you you can do this with a check. Diplomacy is a deception to fight fire with fire. What do you I don't know.
Before you do so, you should have a diplomat's badge. I did.
Yep.
Which would you can do a recall knowledge to increase your diplomacy bonus.
Let me go find that.
Tell you what, I'm actually going to let you make if you want to, I'll let you make a recall knowledge with society as you were walking around town to sort of essentially like, okay, what's going on? What's the state of the town? What is Grigori shitting on us with? So that way when I am talking about how he's wrong, I can do that well.
I'll do that. So I'll use society to...
Yeah, recall John with society.
Recall John.
It's like when you turn to Fox News so you can hear what everyone else is saying.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what... It's tweener 23.
Okay, so yeah, you will get the bonus on your diplomacy check from using it. So how much is the bonus when you use a diplomat's badge? Is it plus one or I think it's a plus two? Wow,
I activate it once a day.
You have to choose which.
Since he's
about a people of a human ethnicity and non-human ancestry or some other type of creature, it has to be against a specific type.
Since he's talking about, make Shatter Shield great again, I'm going to use it against humans. So it's going to give me a +2. So this will bring my diplomancy bonus up to +17.
Okay. Nice. And you'll actually get another +2 because in general...
19.
Because in general, the community is largely on your side. Like, you've shut Grigori down enough where you probably are getting close to being able to bring an actual formal charges against him and a trial against him and with the public support. When that happens... There are full mechanics for the trial of Grigori.
It's like they all know this fucking guy.
Okay. Here it goes.
Oh, we're looking in. We're leaning.
+19, 27.
No, that's a success. So one more support point. Yeah, you work your way throughout the town, and people are like, oh, that attractive Jonas fellow does have a point.
What's his point? He's incredibly good looking.
Now he's sounding a lot like that lizard folk who was in town the other day.
Oh, yeah.
He does kind of have a point. I think Grigori might be full of shit. Like, and Loki stayed behind, and Ari was here, and Ekendayu. They were doing a lot to protect us, and it does look like whatever the leaders were doing, they are coming back with some sort of aid. Yeah, what did you hear about what happened up at Bucky? Bucky, did you hear what happened up at Oleg's? Well, I mean, kind of. I heard there was some... Well, I guess there was a group of folks, right, went up there. Criminals, murderers, right? They slaughtered, cold-blooded, murdered someone who was against the interests of Aestus right in the streets. They said they found insectal legs and blood everywhere. Like, you say something bad about Aestus, you want to hurt the people here. And I guess you get hurt first.
I'm not even mad that's the vibe that came back.
Nikolai overhears that and is like, yep.
Yep, but then I go to Nikolai and be like, did you hear what Lucky did?
No.
No? Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
You're welcome.
I thought Lucky was keeping the stuff discreet.
So for what's worth, Jonas, you are the only one outside of Lucky that knows that is piecing together. Maybe Lucky did some shit while you all were away. Nikolai does not yet know. It's fine for it to stay that way.
Yeah, I'll keep that to myself for a minute.
Cool. All right. I will also say you probably are about 2 to 3 support points away from being able to run Grigori's trial.
Excellent. Well,
in the future.
Town hall following time. Execution.
So, do we need to go into our role playing out the town hall meeting, or is it just sort of do we want to hit some like exposition highlights on a town hall? Maybe
we don't have to, but I think we would probably run through like where we just were, what we were doing, and why, and then.
I love that you all are constantly campaigning. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, it actually makes sense. When you're like, I mean, hear us out. We should still be your leaders.
Right. But also, like, because we know some shit's been going down or here and around here, we want to get feedback from people about, like, what they've seen, what they know, that sort of thing.
How honest are you being about
public
what you
comment
know?
Period.
But like how, I mean, in terms of like, hey, there's a plague, we don't entirely know what causes it, and we don't have, like, we can, in examining a body, we can find signs of it.
I leave that to the Baron.
So, Nikolai, what's your vibe on, like, how much do you want to tell the community about this threat?
Everything that he knows.
All right, so yeah, full transparency. So I think what I would like is a group check. I kind of want a table check. I'm going to treat this a little bit like an impromptu social encounter where I think your honesty is going to... I think it's going to be a little rough. Like, I think that in the long term it's good, but I think that's a very scary bit of news for people to receive. So let's go ahead and set like a little bit of a counter. I'm going to set you at 1 and say that, like, if you can get up... No, we'll just kind of middle. I'm going to say that there's a track. So there's 5 positions. You start off at neutral. I'm going to say, Nikolai, you being honest has put you at like -1. Like you're moving, or we'll call it like the panic side. That is erodes some panic. You each can get, during this town hall, a check. Now, the check isn't like a single thing you say. It's how you carry yourself throughout this conversation. It's how you help conduct the meeting. So you could make these checks, make a case for me about what it would be. I've got some DCs I'm going to use based off of DC by level and how appropriate the skill is to adjust the DC. But let's talk about what you do in this meeting to kind of help people come out feeling better, or, you know, maybe a little more interested in hearing what Grigori has to say about other options in the region. Maybe people should leave and move somewhere else. Somewhere that doesn't have all these immigrants.
Now that it's
I'm just gonna make Grigori everything that bothers me about certain people.
Since it's sort of like in the negative right now, and maybe a little bit of panic of like, are we safe? I think Arthur would sort of chime in with, he wants to tell like a war story with warfare lore about, you know, the dangers of a siege or something, and how defense is his only priority as general. And his own mother died protecting this place, and he expects he will do the same when necessary.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't think it's perfect. I think it's a good one. I think especially with your experience around Lake and Carthen, and what's that region? Like there's now, is it now referred to now that the Lich has like fucked up so much of that whole area around Lake and Carthen?
I don't remember.
It's not the Scar, is it?
No, the Scarcorious Scar is up northwest of here. I know I'm talking about how like the end of first edition ended with the giant Lich kind of fucking it up, and almost like the last wall region. That's
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you can kind of talk about like some of that from the last wall perspective. Yeah, go ahead and give me a lore fair.
Can I assist using Stolen Lands lore, kind of talking about how many people have tried to settle here and receiving like pushback from the owlbears as a metaphor is kind of part of what goes into living here.
So here's what I'll say.
Look at how much we have accomplished despite our losses.
So here's what I'll say. You can assist, but if you do that, you won't be making a check on your own. You'll just be assisting, which is totally fine if you're like, hey, let's put all of our eggs in like fewer baskets.
Can I assist?
Sounds good.
You cool.
Because I don't know that Lucky would like
speak up.
Yeah, that he would like take it front and center. So he may just aid. I was thinking maybe Fey lore, just kind of getting into.
Okay. There's a Fey connection with these.
Right. The
plants.
Potential Fey connection, potential that, you know, if this is happening here, it could happen literally anywhere.
Okay. But here like, you have these defenders. These
right. But here we are actively working on.
Lucky isn't like, wow, look at how feckless your leader is. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a different one?
Yeah. I took direct action.
Yeah, you can definitely assist.
Okay.
It's going to be I think that's a perfectly appropriate assist. So it's a DC 15 on this assist.
Okay, I do assist. Barely.
Okay.
I rolled a 4, but I got a 16. So
cool. Is that a +1 or a +2?
I'm trained, I think so. Either way, I think it's maybe
+1,
just 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my brain is so foggy from Eurovision partying all weekend.
Yeah, you might. That was a pretty low roll.
All right. Ooh, Sweden Moose Patch.
Slightly better. That is a 16.
What's your bonus?
With the aid, it's +10, but I rolled a 6. First, I rolled a 4.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Well, that's not a critical failure, so you don't make things better.
Fair enough.
People are like, okay, like that's nice, but we're not being attacked at the gates. Your guns do nothing against COVID. Nikolai and Jonas, each of you kind of have a chance here in this public meeting to get people maybe at least not panicked or even on your side.
So Nikolai is going to be kind of say that the reason we're telling you, the reason we're being open is we're not overlords. Mm-hmm. We run this town, but we're not the only decision makers here. We have town halls for a reason. Does anyone else have expertise out there or knowledge or things that they can come forward and help with? Because this is a community.
I think you do hear a couple of things, and there is like one of the farmers kind of comes up. I don't know if it would be much help, but I've heard there is a priest. Word is made through some of the hunters I've heard as a priest in the woods to the northwest. Been working his way around southwest of Oleg's. He might be of some assistance. He might know something, perhaps. Word is he carries the sign of the Golden Sun.
Ah.
They are famed healers. They may be of some assistance. Or what is Sarenrae's?
It's a sun, but it's also like that.
Feel like weird,
like her Jesus.
Yeah, so
pose.
That's what he's referring to, though. Is like they say the priests of Sarenrae are some of the best healers in the land, and their knowledge goes deep. That might be something.
Mm-hmm. The dawn flower.
Yeah.
Yep. The Redeemer.
The light of the dawn flower shines on many who seek help.
I just got
Perhaps
chills
this training can. Perhaps someone with that training and knowledge could help.
Do you have a last whereabouts of this person?
Rumors just make my way. You'd have to ask around closer to Oleg's.
Okay.
Keep your eyes out in the woods there.
Or Nikolai will pursue that.
You want to make a check, though?
Yeah, so...
What do you want to... In addition to actually just having some roleplay interaction, do you have a check you want to try to make?
I was going to say religion, because community is such a big part of...
You want to give a sermon?
Erastal, or I could do like nature to just be like, what else do you guys know?
I mean, I think given that you sort of styled this in like a community space in a very Rastal way, I'm totally down for you making a religion check.
Okay.
To just sort of say like, we are in community of strength, we are strong together.
30.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a success. It's not a crit success, but it is a success. So you've moved from panic to like kind of normal. People aren't like, oh, we're going to be okay, but they're like, well, we're not fucked immediately.
Yeah. Grigori's still a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, now it's all about religion. But is it the right type of religion?
Yes, it is, because Ragathiel will guide my blade of vengeance.
But it'll be a scalpel of vengeance if it's really an infection.
Oh no, for you it will be an executioner's blade of vengeance.
Oh, now what's this? Executions without trial?
Oh, we'll give you a trial.
I only care about due process when it helps me.
I hate him so much.
Yep.
I think using the...
Playing a heel is the best thing as a GM.
Oh, I hate it.
He's turning a strange shade of orange as he speaks.
His hair is fake.
No, I don't think he's that person. I think he's like side-eyeing a couch.
Oh,
yeah. Well, it's funny how I can
or
almost
holding
say
a drink
him
at a
worse.
press conference.
Breaking the trophy. Yep. All right, Jonas, what do you want to do at the town hall meeting?
Kind of like what I was talking about earlier. I want to kind of tie all this together using stories from the Stolen Lands past.
Oh, okay.
And how, many people came in and tried to tame this land or tried to dominate it. And we're trying to kind of, look at our population. We brought all these people together. Mm-hmm. It's very unlikely. The Barons, talking about family and integration and all these things and saying that we are going to do this different and that's why we're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And even though the Baron may be gone, the Warden's here, Knock's here, and as Trent said, his mother gave his life for this town, and this is going to be something that's really, it's going to be different.
Should we just take Knock's leg off and put him like a cyborg one on there?
A combo
no,
leg,
it's spinal injury.
I'm sure they have mechanical spine somewhere too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember he was he got like thrown by the owlbear and it cracked part of his spine in the owlbear fight.
Well,
What's
he's
the
gonna
android
have to,
place?
He's gonna have to relearn to walk and everything.
Numeria.
So.
No, Numia,
Numenera or whatever.
Not Numenera. It's
that's Game of Thrones dog.
No, it's Numeria, right?
Numeria.
Yeah, wait, that's what I just said, right?
Yeah.
We can take Knock to Numeria and get him fixed up.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
But I was confused because I always want to say Numenera, which is a different role play.
Totally different game, yeah.
But it's very vibe similar to Numeria. Yeah, but that place is actually just not too far to the... It's to the west-northwest of here, on the other side of, like, Pitax, actually.
Well, I don't want to go there.
We're going to have to send Lucky to...
On second thought.
Just let him
some alien tech.
He'll figure it out.
So I'm on the fence between Stolen Lands lore and diplomancy. Like, obviously, the diplomacy is a much, much, much higher check, and I got my badge going on right now.
It does. It lasts all day, in fact.
And it does last all day. So I'm going to roll diplomacy and kind of just bringing everybody together. So this is going to be plus 17.
Okay.
Oh. 35.
That's a crit success.
Yeah,
yes.
So you've moved from neutral to positive plus. People are like, fuck. That really attractive elf is right.
Well, that's what
stop making that joke.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, that poncho-wearing elf is right.
Wow. This is actually a really sweet Eddie Bauer. It's like a puffy Eddie Bauer. Right?
I love how excited you get about Jonas's outfit. Is like I feel like you want it in real life.
The second thing I did for Jonas on that mini
Yeah.
was find the right vest.
Yeah. It's so funny. I had a really hard time like getting the vibe right with Jonas, and I think I just have like a certain thing that I usually always go to with almost every character.
Yeah.
Like I start with this base.
Yep.
And then Jason's like, do you mind if I put your... I was like, please do it, because I can't figure it out. And it's so awesome.
Look, the truth is that when it comes to things like Hero Forge, there are so many options that it isn't just like pick, customize a little, like to do it well. Like the real auteurs of Hero Forge, which Jason is.
Jason's so good at it.
100%.
Are like people that kind of like, they don't just start from a like template and modify it. They like build from the soul out.
The soul out. It's awesome.
And it's wild to watch the shit, because like I'll see Jason make something, oh, that's cool. Maybe I can do it. And I get on Hero Forge and I'm like, I've just made a gnome that hit every branch on the ugly tree on the way down.
I do think that the addition of color that they allowed changes everything.
Yep.
It really adds character to the character.
The kit bash part
kit bash
that's like
is
part
huge.
of it is crazy awesome.
Also, it's a small thing, but I think that it's often overlooked. And like, especially like I have a lot of old Dungeons and Dragons game miniatures that just have black bases. But a completed base, like a base with color on it or texture, makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
Item number 3, Smappy.
Smappy. I mean, I love that we have a giant Smappy standee right now.
That's why I signed up so I could kit bash and make Smappy bigger.
Although I'm sure now you're going to start doing weird shit of like, what if I put this part of the frog's head in this guy's chest?
Well, that's how I made those giant fucking horns on that Nikolai. Yeah.
Really cool.
If any of you ever have questions about Hero Forge, just hit up Jason on. I mean, what's your social of choice these days?
Oh, just email me.
Yeah, just email, but just email the
55.
podcast.
Yeah, I'll forward it over to him.
We'll get it to Jason.
Yeah, I'll
Jason
even make it for you. Fuck it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Jason loves nothing more than doing
awesome.
Hero Forge shit. All right. So you have a meeting, and actually, I do want to kind of give this around because I think it's been a second since I've handed some of these out, and I just think this is really fun. So. For doing a town hall meeting, because I think that was actually a really cool idea. So
I think Ari does try and like drunkenly say something, and we're like, shh. Okay.
So also in Hero Forge, you can make pictures, and I have Ari in the bar area during the town hall.
Amazing.
Please take and pass one down, patches all around for town hall work.
Hell yes.
International Spy Museum.
Yeah, so I got 2 patches from the International Spy Museum. The You Don't Know Me, and then like one of their actual like logo patches.
All right, Jessica, I'm sorry. She used to think that the Air and Space Museum was the Air and Space Museum, like some dude named Air and
Space Museum.
Like until she was like
Aaron Glenn.
maybe even adult. I don't know.
That's so funny.
Okay, I thought you meant like as an adult. As a kid, that's a very reasonable thing.
It might have been the time she took my parents to DC when like after we were married. So Jessica, call in and let us know.
Yep, let us know.
Producer, our original in-studio producer, Jessica.
Like the guy who was just like, well, my last name is Space. I may as well be part of a space museum.
Well.
All right. So you wrap up your town hall meeting, and then you probably need to like sleep, rearm, refuel, And then is the intent to head up to Oleg's and begin your investigation into the occult activities?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, especially since it's like part of our nation now. Go check it out.
Yeah, because remember there was the Mead Wars.
Mm-hmm. The Mead Wars.
I do want to tell Ekundayo before we leave that, like, hey, if you get the chance, maybe look up some more dirt on this Grigori fellow. We tried, but we could only find so much.
Oh, yeah, he's coming.
Lucky's coming with us.
Yeah, he is.
Ari will look into it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ari, and honestly, you know who else would probably be pretty good at that? Lindsay.
Oh yeah, she's hanging around.
It's funny because like it's funny to me how many like established canonical NPCs are in town, but like the big ones you all know are like fucking Kristoff the Bandit and Meek Mek the Kobold you fucking love. And
I would even say Nikolai might ask Red and even Oscar to be like, just keep an eye on things. Mm-hmm. Keep an eye, maybe even mention Grigori's name, like it's becoming a problem. Don't kill him. But don't let them like ruin the fucking town while we're gone either.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
they're just always standing on the street corner. one of the two of them.
Every one of his sermons.
Like wherever he typically sets up, when he goes out there in the morning, one of them is just standing there.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette like
with
an
a
alien.
Table that says Gregory sucks, prove me wrong.
Yep. And then whatever his backup spot is, Oscar's there.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, wherever he ended up, they're just like, he's always there.
Maybe just slightly sabotage his soapbox.
Yep.
So that like he falls through every now and then.
Wobbly this time. Oh shit.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, because I will say, I was looking at like, oh, like we haven't even talked about like some of the other personalities that come through occasionally. Because you still have Amiri kicking around, who's now just, I think, generally part of the like thug squad around.
She's here.
Yeah, she's
okay. I couldn't remember.
Her and Ari hit it off enough because like, Amiri hit it off enough, and she was a big part of the defense. I think she still probably doesn't call this place home, but it is like a regular stop for her. Whereas like this is sort of home adjacent for Lindsay. Jubilost still comes through a lot and goes. He's still working on mapping and doing a lot of trading, but he is an alchemist that could become an advantage if you need that down the line.
Did the Galtian map maker ever make it here?
Actually, yeah. Now that you're back, you've heard
Somebody
that there is
a war horn, and she's like, "There it is."
Yeah, that's it.
I was like, yeah, I have all this money that was given to me, and I've just been making my way. Yeah, no. So the map maker from Grey Death is now residing in the area, and probably working with Jubilost on the maps.
Did I ask the twins to come and check out Aestus?
You did extend an invitation. They wanted to make it back to Miagar and Varnhold after everything, but they said that they stay in touch.
So rejected.
I think you should have to roll a fortitude save.
Yeah. I'm crying all the time.
The only other kind of big names is let's see, Valerie occasionally makes it through. When she does, she just stops at Biff's grave marker monument, and so like most of you don't see her a lot, but you'll occasionally find like flowers, or I believe she was a seamstress. I forget exactly what, because she's a champion of who's the goddess of like beauty and art?
Shaylin.
Yeah, Shaylin.
She's a champion of Shaylin, or at least was at one point. She was raised in a cult of Shaylin, I believe, and so you have to learn to practice different like fine arts.
Sign me up.
I assume we're like getting ready to wrap up this episode. Is that right?
Probably, yeah.
Can we get a scene of Lucky going down into the dungeon?
Oh shit!
Yeah,
microwave.
Yeah, who's
just Lucky?
You tell me. Who are you bringing?
I think that probably coming out of the town hall, Lucky would throw the ball into Arthur's court and just say, "Hey, I have something you might be interested in."
Fish on a stick.
Even more so than fish on a stick.
What?
However, it's sensitive. And I wanted to bring it. I let the Baron know about it vaguely, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. When you are ready.
Okay.
I can show it to you.
I don't want to see your private parts.
Don't worry, that wasn't it.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I heard you showed someone else your private parts.
Maybe when we get back. I mean, can it wait until we get back?
Yeah, I can wait as long as you want.
Oh, yeah.
It's not dying anytime soon.
Just, when we get back, it's fine.
Okay. Great.
All right. So you all saddle up the next morning. You ride north to Oleg's, where hopefully you'll find the clues you need to uncover the answers. That wasn't very dramatic. Anyway, tune in next week, see if they figure this shit out.
The Live to Die podcast is a production of Live to Die Gaming. Follow us on social media at Live to Die Pod. Want to support us? Check us out at patreon.com/live to die pod. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for more.